you doing, listeners? This is Mike.
And this is Ringo. Ringo, what are you doing here?
Ringo. It's getting crowded in here.
I'm everywhere. Okay, Ringo. Of course, this is Jim.
Jim. Yeah, Jim, you said that he might show up. We're going to let him just watch, right? We're going to let him come in here.
Yeah, I don't know how he got in here, but he seems to be everywhere. Yeah.
Hey, but he could be a connection with Paul. So, listeners, welcome. Got a good show for you. Really focusing today on new music and music news. So Jim and I have got a lot of stuff that's been happening lately, and we're hitting music hard here.
Yeah, just some things we've been observing, watching, and
yeah. So Jim, what are you drinking? I see something there.
I got one of my favorite beers. It's a cranberry wheat. I love cranberry. Mm-hmm. It's from Workhorse Brewing Company. 16 ouncer.
Very cool. Go ahead and read my glass. Can you see my glass here?
Guinness.
Oh, well, there it is. There it is. What's it say?
Guinness.
Yeah. But it's cool water. I'm drinking cool water from a Guinness.
Oh, that's a sin. And where'd you get that?
Yeah, you recognize it, eh?
Our friend Keith gave us that.
Oh, yes. Okay. Toast to Keith then. Yeah, toast to Keith. Okay. So listeners should know that you and I usually record in the studio, especially back again doing the interviews, getting a lot of great interviews, and we're doing it remotely here today.
Yeah, it's a weeknight.
So,
had a long day. Yeah. Just had enough time to have some soup, like an old man. So
yeah. So I've got some music news here. Florence Welch. That's Florence. Yeah, from Florence and the Machine. Florence Leontine Mary Welch is her name. You're probably wondering what she's been doing lately. Florence and the Machine, they had a 2009 hit, Dog Days Are Over, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what she's been doing lately, she's been writing the lyrics and co-writing the music for the stage musical, The Great Gatsby.
Oh, okay.
And she's it's in conjunction with Thomas Bartlett. And she's been pretty active with that lately. Some other writers, some other rock and pop stars who are also writing musicals or have written musicals. Cyndi Lauper, Sheryl Crow, John Mellencamp, Sarah McLachlan, Dave Stewart, Tori Amos, Edie Brickell, and Trey Anastasio from your favorite band, Fish. Mm-hmm. So these people are all writing musicals, getting into that. So one follow-up thing with Florence is she's just celebrated 7 years of sobriety. So shout out to her for staying sober and continuing with the writing. So that's cool.
Yeah, music people have a lot of time on their hands, downtime, from not
especially touring. Now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're
right.
So what they do is if they're not, when they're touring on the road, it's hard to, I guess, be creative all the time. But now you have all the time in the world.
One more thing here, music news. Lucinda Williams. Not everyone knows Lucinda Williams. She had a stroke and she walks with a cane now, and she has not been able to play guitar. Wow. But I remember hearing more about her when I would listen to radio down in Virginia. But she's hoping to make a full recovery and play guitar again. So our thoughts go out to Lucinda Williams.
One of my favorite shows is Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which I'm trying to get Mike to watch.
Yeah.
So it's Jane Levy. She's the lead, and her character can hear people's innermost thoughts, but in music. And it's not like she's just hearing the song. Time stops, and it's almost like a flash mob.
Yeah.
Like if she's at work, all the people at work are, dancing around and singing. The actors are actually singing their own vocals. So it's sort of...
So time stops for her then, right?
Yeah. And it's sort of like...
in her...
It's similar to Glee, but in a different way.
Right.
But I was very, not surprised, but they mix in new songs, newer songs and older songs. So every once in a while, I'm like, wow, that's a 60s song. That's a 70s song. A couple weeks ago, they sang One by Three Dog Night.
Oh,
so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that one. I was thinking it was U2's One. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. One is the
loneliest number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
So I got a couple of things. I've noticed there's a lot of songs they're using in commercials, which they've always used, but I'm noticing it more and more. I don't know why people are selling their songs to commercials. One I'm really tired of is the Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, right. The car commercial. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to be on every 15 minutes. Yeah. Luckily, we can fast forward it. But in the last couple of months, I've noticed.
Now, is that Jim? Is that because you dislike the Pet Shop Boys, or is that because it shouldn't be used in that way? What are you feeling? What are you feeling with the Pet Shop Boys?
I didn't realize how much I really don't like that song.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's a song I can't. Once I hear it a couple of times, I don't want to hear it again.
Let's make lots of money. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got the looks, you got the brains. Let's make.
I liked a couple of their songs, but also a couple months ago, "Joy to the World," Three Dog Night song, was used in a car commercial. Very recently, there was a Coors commercial that came on, and someone else that we interviewed, Marcy Levy, she did a song in the '70s with a guy named Johnny Lee called "Looking for Love," and that's in the Coors commercial. Also made famous by Buckwheat on SNL. When he did his best of album. Yeah. I'm wondering if the Pet Shop Boys, they got one lump sum, or if they get paid every time this commercial airs, I think they're making more money than they made when they were making albums.
Yeah. Well, when I see the Pet Shop Boys, when I see the commercial that uses the Pet Shop Boys song, it doesn't bother me as much as, can I mention a brand name of a prescription drug on podcast? I guess.
Sure.
Otezla. Okay. Yeah, Otezla. No, Ozantic. No, it's Ozantic. Have you seen that one? No, it's the most annoying.
Zantic.
Ozantic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. I have to hit mute every time. Yeah, it's worse than hearing, because they butcher the song, and the Pet Shop Boys, is actually the Pet Shop Boys song. But
well, that's another thing. If you hear the actual song, I think it's better than if they take a song and they change it. It actually ruins it. Like Rockatan.
Oh yeah.
Rockatan. They took Rocket Man. So if you're listening to an Elton John album,
never heard. No,
so if you're listening to an Elton John album and that Rocket Man comes on, you're going to think of the commercial now. You're not going to think of the song. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of money, I heard a band that you love. You got you and your significant other. Yeah. Just sold their publishing rights for $140 million.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my wife is she's not sure why. I mean, I'm sure why. Because she's like, Anthony Kiedis is worth $500 million. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, we didn't mention that it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, right?
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
140 million. So, yeah, you saying Anthony Kiedis is worth how much?
500 million. I was wondering, do they split that with? They had different guitarists, different people in the band. Dave Navarro,
right.
Josh Klinghoffer, and John Frusciante was another guitarist. I think he's back with the band. Where does Dave Navarro
it would go
fit
wherever credits.
Yeah,
right. It would go wherever credits are due. Wherever there's credits on that album, on that song. It would go there. And is there taxes? Is it is it $30 million in taxes or something? Yeah. When you make that kind of exchange. Yeah. I wonder what kind of loss is there. But it wasn't long ago. Wasn't it just a couple months ago? We heard about Bob Dylan. I think it was. Yeah, just recently. I don't blame them, for that. I'd like to have just one of the 140. That would be nice. But yeah, so I don't blame them for taking some money. They worked hard for it and everything. It's just really strange, to be listening to music and knowing, they don't own it anymore. It's them. Yeah. They're singing, but it's not theirs anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they giving up? I guess they're giving up all rights to these songs. Where if they're played
rights and for use and money.
Yeah. And so you're going to start hearing Red Hot Chili Pepper songs in commercials, because this is what happens.
Right.
Say they sold them to the record company or some big corporation. They're looking to make more money they just paid 140 million. They're looking to get their money back too. Because right now artists aren't getting a lot of money. We've mentioned this before. As far as with the streaming services, people aren't buying as much. When a new album comes out, I don't think they're buying CDs and as much as they used to.
So in a little bit, just minutes away, we're going to get into some of that with NFTs. We're going to learn about NFTs.
Yeah, you told me. I have no idea.
I'm going to ask you about NFTs, but that's a little bit later here. So yeah, I'm just thinking, it wouldn't be for any kind of high price thing. If Anthony's singing "Give It Away, Give It Away, Give It Away," unless it's some sort of giveaway. I don't.
But I think it's more like starting a company, and the company starts to become really big, and then selling the company, just kind of bailing out but getting a lump sum. So that's
right.
I mean, this is more personal, I think. I mean, I know starting a company, that's kind of personal. If you created an idea or, a system, something like that.
Right.
Songs are personal. So you're kind of.
But, a business, like, let's say, you invented a computer in 1980 and sold it for a couple billion in 87 or 90 or whatever. People can take it and run with it. They take it, they improve it, they run with it. It's not the case. People aren't like, we're going to work over these Chili Pepper songs, now that we have the rights to them. So they're not building on anything. So if I had a great creation of a business, I'd take $1 billion for it, and people will move on and keep creating, something great.
Well, Computer's
an example of that.
Can they take these songs and rework them?
I don't know.
Remixes.
Would you? Yeah.
Take like Bob Dylan's song and turn it into a dance song.
Yeah.
You go to a rave and you're going to hear Bob Dylan.
Yeah. What would it?
Times changing. Okay, so moving on.
That's a good question. That's a good question. We're going to figure that out later. If people who buy the rights, the publishing rights, do they have the ability to alter the artwork?
Yeah, and reissue like a new album or new vinyl.
I got something else here. Remember The Man with Two Brains?
Yes, Steve Martin.
Yeah, it's not music. Yeah, and his girlfriend's name was. It was Miss Mel Mahay.
Yeah,
Miss Mel Mahay. So anyway, that reminded me of someone you spoke of recently, Imelda May.
Yes, the Irish.
Yeah. So I was just reading about Irish rockabilly singer, 46 years old, Imelda May. The news is the Rolling Stones guitarist Ronnie Wood plays on her latest album. Jim, maybe you know her album already. It's 11 Past the Hour. Is the name of the album. I've
listened to a couple songs off of it.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Encourage our listeners to give it a listen. She's got a unique voice. There's a video of her father, Tony, asking people to, quote, buy her new album. She's well worth number one, he says.
Nice.
It's a great little video. Her dad is there. He's an old Irish man with his hat on and his cap. And I could just listen to, the Irish accent all day. And it's just, it's pretty cool.
And she had a connection to someone we interviewed.
Jittery Jack was playing, it did an album, was playing with, I think it's David Higgum.
Yeah, that was her ex-husband.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it was her husband at the time, ex-husband. I think. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So listeners can go back and listen to Higgum's friend there, Jittery Jack, we interviewed months ago. So check out the Jittery Jack Rockabilly. If you don't know Rockabilly, because we're no Rockabilly experts here, go back and just get a feel for it. See if it's a style that you like and something you can get into. So that's Imelda May putting out the new album here.
I have something on an old band that we both love. Maybe we still do. Genesis.
Who's- Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
Genesis is returning to the U.S. for the Last Domino with a question mark tour, and their first in 14 years.
Wow.
And I remember when Genesis regrouped and was touring, and time just flies because I didn't think it was 14 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford.
Mm-hmm.
And it will kick off in Chicago on November 15th. They'll also visit Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Montreal, a whole bunch of places, Philly. And it wraps up on December 15th. So I'm looking here at 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. That's it.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, 1 month.
So they're sort of doing what Cat Stevens did. Cat Stevens hadn't toured in 30 some years in the US. Wow. And he decided to do like 8 shows, which I was fortunate enough to see one of those. I don't know how we got tickets, but it was in Philadelphia.
Very cool.
So they're doing a short tour. So tickets go on sale May 7th. So probably when you're listening to this, they already went on sale. Good luck getting tickets. My business partner looked up tickets, what the prices were, and they're just outrageous. Like a lot of concerts
for Genesis.
Yeah, they're like $350 for a regular. I think it's a regular ticket.
Wow,
like that might be the lowest price ticket.
Yeah, that's so much. Some more music news. This is not musicians, but it's those who write and produce. Tommy West passed away at the age of 78 in Morristown, New Jersey. He was a producer for Jim Croce.
Okay.
Him and Jim Croce met when they were roommates at Villanova College back in 1961. Jim Croce, of course, did Bad Badly Roy Brown and Time in a Bottle. Time in a Bottle, that song that makes you want to cry when you hear it, good tears. But anyway, but this is interesting. So I know you do, Jim. Jim loves Jim.
Yeah.
But Tommy West also not just producing and some other people he produced, but also wrote songs for the Partridge Family.
Oh,
those songs are written by this man, Tommy West. Yeah. So another person who passed away not long ago, 91 years old, Al Schmidt. I did not know Albert Harry Schmidt. Born in 1930, 91 years old. He has 21 Grammys. The man's got 21 Grammys for production and engineering, and I didn't know him. Let's see here. He gets a who in a second. It's a long list of who's who. I'm not even going to mention them all. But the man grew up in New York City. He lived in Brooklyn in the 1940s. He bought his first 78. And it says he bought his first 78 at the age of 10. So our listeners, if they are audiophiles, if they love music, they will know that a 78 came before the 45s and 33s. Yeah, it's just amazing. He would spend time at his uncle's recording studio, Harry Smith. He changed his name from Schmidt to Smith, but he would hang out with his Uncle Harry, and he'd go there, and Smith was hanging out with Les Paul. So he goes to the studio, and there's Les Paul, who created the electric guitar, and he's just like another uncle to Al. So he had Uncle Harry and then Les Paul hanging out with him. The year I was born, and you have to guess when that was, Schmidt left RCA and became an independent producer. He produced Jefferson Airplane, Jackson Browne, Neil Young, and we have to mention Dr. John. He did engineering. That was producing. He did engineering for Frank Sinatra, duet albums, Ray Charles, 2 albums, and Diana Krall albums. He also did worked with Bob Dylan on The Shadows in the Night. So, we have to mention, got to mention Bob Dylan in that part there. So, 21 Grammys. Jim, what really caught my ear when I was hearing this was that he engineered the Asia album by Steely Dan and FM No Static at All. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then finally for this piece, he's He passed away at 91. But back in 2012 and 2013, he engineered and assisted engineering Paul McCartney's album, Kisses on the Bottom and Live Kisses. Paul McCartney. So that's some good stuff there with the.
So he kind of grew up.
Remember Al Schmidt.
So he kind of grew up in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're hanging out with your Uncle Harry, who's a producer, engineer, and Les Paul, yeah, you're going to have a lot of great influence.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like Jerry Wexler. Awesome. Jerry Wexler's son, Paul Wexler. He was a producer. Jerry Wexler, he discovered Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin. So I'm sure Paul was there at the record company or studio with his dad when he was young and sort of had an in.
Yeah. And, you're an apprentice. You're seeing it happen. There's nothing like seeing and hearing the music production happen, and you have a natural ear for it.
So I watched a couple music movies recently. Actually, one I watched this weekend and one I think the week before. And this one is a documentary, which possibly we could do a whole podcast on. So I'll be brief, but so people should check out. It's called Searching for Sugarman. Maybe it's Sugarman. And it's about a guy named Sixto, Sixto, Rodriguez. He goes by the name Rodriguez.
Yes. I was just reading about Sixto. I was just reading, and I got to find it here. But yeah, I was reading about that. Is this? Yeah. No, wait, that's not Milo. Milo's somebody else, right? He's not Milo, is he?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Sixto Rodriguez.
But I have a friend, Ken, who's been telling me about this movie. I think it came out a couple of years ago. But the thing was, it was hard to find because it's a documentary. And, I didn't want to buy it. And I just found it online for free to watch. Imagine this guy Rodriguez. Okay, he goes in the recording studio. He's from Detroit, that area, and this is the late '60s. He records 2 albums that absolutely do like nothing. Like they interviewed one guy, the guy that produced the album, and he asked how many albums they sold, and he said, "I think we sold 6." Right. So you go in, you record, right? And these songs are great. The one song, I wish I could remember it right now, but the one song I listened to could be a hit. You could think that this would be a hit in the '60s. It's very, it's not poppy, but it's very consumer. Like you listen to the song and you can't get it out of your head. It's like catchy, The records do nothing. He goes on with his life, construction, whatever. He raises a family. Well, in the meantime, in South Africa, someone gets a hold of his albums and they bootleg them. Some record company starts putting out these albums, and there's a revolution going on. These songs are big. Kids are growing up listening to Rodriguez. They love Rodriguez is bigger than Elvis, right?
Yeah.
Rodriguez doesn't know this whole time. We're talking 30 years, 35 years later.
Wow.
So this whole documentary is trying to track him down. They don't know if he's still alive because there's rumors that he killed himself, that he had a drug overdose, and he could never tour South Africa anyway. So he's never been there. So anyway, I'll let it at that. And like I said, maybe we can get into it more in another podcast. So that was one that I watched. Like I said, my friend Ken told me I need to watch it, and I finally watched it, and I'll probably watch it again. The other one is The United States versus Billie Holiday, which is a fairly new movie. I think it came out last year. So Audra Day plays Billie Holiday, and what makes it incredible is that all the songs in the movie it's her singing, and she sounds exactly like Billie Holiday. And
so cool.
And it's about, believe it or not, the United States going after her, or the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. I don't know what the actual organization is.
Acronym.
But going after her, especially over this one song that she would sing at the end of her show. And it was so controversial
I did read about
yeah.
this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? What's the name of that song?
Strange Fruit. It was from a poem called Bitter Fruit that she took it from. And it's about the lynchings of Black people. It's pretty intense. You know, even when she sang it at the end of her shows, they would turn all the lights down and you just see her face singing. So, but I think in Philadelphia, when she sang the song, the police came in and dragged her off stage and arrested her. And then they were trying to get her for drugs and just kind of, I mean, the drug part, she was kind of ruining her own life with, and alcohol. They made it worse, a little bit worse.
Yeah.
So that movie is pretty good. So check that out. United States versus Billie Holiday.
So Jim, do you know what NFTs are?
No,
NFT. It's the NFTs are non-fungible tokens. Okay, it's the latest kind of cryptocurrency. There have been some cryptocurrencies that Bitcoin is probably the first and most well-known, and then there's a couple more. Well, there's probably more than a couple more. Non-fungible tokens, NFTs, are unique in that they're a type of cryptocurrency, but they're non-fungible because they can't be exchanged for other NFTs. Like Bitcoins, you could trade or sell something and get back, if you have 10 Bitcoins, you can get 10 Bitcoins. So the art world is in music and visual arts. It's just taking this and using it to fund themselves. Christie's Auction House. This is just 2 months ago. Christie's Auction House sold the first ever NFT artwork, a collage of images by the digital artist Beeple. Somebody paid $69.3 million. Okay. Now, I'm not exactly sure how it works. It's arts. It's used for arts and collectibles and now music, and I'll get to that in a moment. But it has to be one of a kind, verifiable assets. Other things like Jack Dorsey's first tweet is now bidding for $2.5 million. Okay. So I have a question. Who are these?
No, I heard I don't know what it was, but it was something to that effect, like a tweet that people were buying.
Yeah, so it's digital. It's right. It's artwork or something that is unique. But you still, who's going to pay $69 million or even $1 million for a digital artwork? And so it's possible. It's possible that these things are digital only or virtual. Okay, so you have a virtual artwork that you just paid $69 million for. But getting back to how it works, it says here in an article I'm reading, it says here, think of Pokemon cards or rare coins. And I used to collect coins when I was young, and that makes sense because let's say you have a large cent, it's worth 1 penny, right? But it's an 1819 and it's in good shape, right? Well, it's worth, $200. Okay, so it's worth, what people will pay for it, right? Just like artwork or music. Yeah. So it's actually worth 1 penny. It's 1 cent made in 1819, but right now it's worth $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. You got something that's unique and that is certain coin, even though it can be mass produced, it's that coin. It's really interesting. Ethereum and Bitcoin are the leading ones. But why I mention this is Kings of Leon. They, do you know the band? You've heard of them? They have generated $2 million from NFT sales of their new album. The new album is called, let's see, I got it here somewhere. No, there it is. The latest one is When You See Yourself. When You See Yourself. So this is one of the first major records to be released as a collection of NFTs. Wow. So they've got 200 million generated from that. It's and then they donated $500,000 to Live Nation's Crew Nation Fund. And this is to support live music during the coronavirus pandemic.
So it's for a good cause.
So, there's still something, but there's still some things to be answered, with the 69 million sale of a digital artwork and the 200,000 and 200K. It wasn't 200K, it was 2 million, excuse me. The 2 million that Kings of Leon has profited through NFTs. I'm just not sure how and when it's converted to, say, US dollars or a currency that we deal with. But I guess that's how you do it through the, what is the name here? Let's see.
So what is the band selling though?
Oh, so the band, yeah. So the band is selling digital, but this is even more confusing, Jim. I understand to some point the digital, which is all virtual, you can't hold it in your hand, the digital collections, the digital artworks, but they're also, it says here, with each unique token, exclusive album artwork and limited edition GoldenEye vinyl. Now you're into vinyl. What does GoldenEye mean?
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So that's, if it's what is, GoldenEye vinyl. So maybe our listeners know a little bit more about this. If you're in the know, you could contact Jim and Mike Talk Music and let us know. But, this is really, it's amazing, the money that's to be generated through this. It's a good outlet. It's working for Kings of Leon.
I'm just confused what they're selling, actually. They're selling artwork, digital artwork that you own.
Yeah. Kings of Leon is selling their albums. They're selling the album When You See Yourself. They're selling, digital.
But it would have to be, each person that buys it would have to have one, like a unique thing, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't know how it's unique.
It's
yeah,
not like
because they're saying it has to be stuff that's unique.
It's not like selling an album where you're selling the same album. You're selling over and over.
Right. What's unique about each one? Because it's saying it's unique, and we know that when you buy mass-produced albums, however it might be virtual or in your hands, it's not going to be unique. So we're going to learn more about NFTs in the future. We're going to hear more about those. I have some research. I don't want to get in trouble here, but I have done some research, and one person called, even the cryptocurrency and specifically Bitcoin to be, quote, a Ponzi scheme out in the open, end quote. I wonder how it's going to go with all those investing in Bitcoins. We'll find out, won't we?
Well, yeah, if it just falls apart, and then, because I see people posting on Facebook what they bought, how much they spent, how much it's worth. But, even with the stock market, it's just a piece of paper. Yeah. You could have so much one day, and then the next day you could hardly have anything. And it's just in theory. I mean, it's actual tangible money that you put into the money market to grow. But until you're able to start taking it out without getting penalized, it's nothing. You have nothing in your pocket.
Yeah. All right. So, Jim, I've got another new artist, new to me, Paula FUGA. Have you heard of her?
No.
Paula FUGA. Paula Hiltrudis. Paula Hiltrudis FUGA. She's a Hawaiian singer and songwriter. And she's performed with artists such as Jack Johnson, Ben Harper, Ziggy Marley, and Damian Marley. And she was orphaned as a child and was taken in by her grandparents. And she learned to have a passion for music. She did appear on American Idol in 2003 and was not successful. She also then later joined a band right after that, a reggae band named Dub Conscious. But I do mention her because she's got, she's got a new single out on April 16th. She released If Ever, and it featured Jack Johnson and Ben Harper. And that's a single for her new upcoming album called Rain on Sunday. She's also has sang vocals on tracks with Jack Johnson.
I know,
and
Jack
featured
Johnson.
on the live. Yeah, and Jack, let's see, did we see him? I'm trying to think if we saw Jack Johnson in Hershey, I think.
We might
Can't remember. So she sang on Jack Johnson's live version of Better Together. So if you hear a woman singing with Jack on Better Together, that's her. Yeah, I listened to it. It's If Ever is the new single, and it's got a reggae feel, obviously. So it's very, very flowing reggae feel. It's she is Hawaiian. Yeah, so you have to consider who's involved there on the album, and she's got a great voice. She also plays some instruments as well, but mostly she's she's known for her voice. So that's Paula Fuga.
Okay. I love Ben Harper, and I've been wondering what is going on with Ben Harper. You know, I could go online and look him up.
Yeah.
But I actually have a live DVD of his, and I like his voice, just like Amos Lee. You know, I'm not trying to put them in the same category, but they're kind of, you know, guitar.
Yeah, I remember having Ben Harper on a couple of way back when we were doing CD mixes, you know, from the cassette tape mix to the CD mix, and Ben was on a couple of those. Yeah, and I can't remember those songs, but seems to me that was around the year 2000. He kind of 2003, something like that.
He kind of sounds to me, his voice, like Cat Stevens, like not exactly, but he has kind of that sound. I have two new artists, but before I get into that, I have some. It's not really trivia, but it's kind of, I don't know what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
Music facts. Okay.
So music facts. So are they in the form of a question? But no, the trivia facts. No.
The first one.
Test my knowledge, Jim.
No, these are actually facts on one's on a song.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, you'll see. First one is, I know one of your favorite artists. I think you've seen him like 40 times, Mr. Eddie Money.
2 tickets to Paradise, baby.
Shaken. She was shaken. So I don't know if you know.
Oh, well, that was 40. That was 40 times that night.
Yeah, you heard that song. We'll tell that story
the net,
someday about Eddie Money and the jukebox.
Yes.
So, do you know the song "Walk on Water"? If I could walk.
Yes. Eddie Money's "If I Could Walk." Yes. Okay.
So, do you know that there's parts in there where they're just going na 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 na, right? Okay. It says few people know the real reason for this famous musical sound. Eddie Money actually hated the na 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 sounds and stated that all. Now they're really only in the beginning and the end of the song.
Okay.
There might be a couple na-nas in there in between. But the real reason, he stated that all those nas were meant to be a horn, and the horn player never showed up. And however, they had to go on with the nas. Yeah. And I could have done a little research and figured out who this horn player was. Maybe I wouldn't have figured it out. But yeah, the horn player never showed up. Can you imagine this guy? Maybe he wasn't on anything else famous, and he could have been on this song, "Walk on Water."
Yeah.
Now, my next one is Janis Joplin. Her last recording, the last recordings that she completed, well, the last recordings were Mercedes-Benz, but the last recording is a birthday greeting for John Lennon. It was on October 1st. Yeah, October 1st, 1970. Joplin recorded the old Dale Evans cowboy tune "Happy Trails" for the former Beatle, which is sort of spooky given the lyrics are "Happy trails to you till we meet again." Right?
Yeah. Wow.
The tune was titled "Happy Birthday, John, Happy Trails." And it was released on her box set in 1993. John Lennon told talk show host Dick Cavett that her taped greeting arrived at his home after her passing. So that's a little trivia there. So her last recording was to John Lennon. So okay, now on a happier note, happy trails.
Yeah.
So there's two new artists. They have nothing to do with each other, of course.
Not yet.
This one makes me a little sad because this girl, she goes by the name of JORDI, JORDI. Her real name's Jordan Radnati, and she is 17 years old. She recorded this song this year. It's called "Escape Route." And what makes me sad is that she only has 2 singles out. And I'm hoping that she does put out an album because I love this song. And again, I know I mentioned it before, but it has kind of that maybe early 90s, like Breeders. It's that sound that, you know, girl vocalist, like kind of chunky guitar, you know, just her influences. She names are Nirvana, the White Stripes, the Beatles, Arctic Monkeys,
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool for a 17-year-old. You know, she's into the Beatles.
Yeah, yeah.
And they also compare her, and this is how well, actually, there is a connection here because they compared her to two artists, and one I had never heard of before. And that's the next one I'm going to be talking about. Soccer Mommy,
Yeah.
of course, we talked about. And
Yeah, yeah. In our
you'll
top
get
50 of 2020.
and you'll get a kick out of this because on NPR, there's a woman by the name of Cherry Glazer. Have you heard of her? NPR. She's an NPR personality. Well,
Oh, wow.
the band's name is Cherry Glazer, but it's spelled differently. It's GLAZERR. So they compare JORDI with those two bands. So the next band I'm going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about is Cherry Glazer. The girl that started the band, her name is Clementine Crevy, and she originated her band solo project as a 15-year-old with the name Clem Butt. Clem Butt.
Butt.
Yeah. CLEM.
That was probably her nick. Yeah, right. Her name's Clementine. That was probably her nickname in high school or even middle school, right? Clem Butt.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So she
Okay.
started uploading songs to SoundCloud in 2012, and the tracks were discovered by Burger Records co-founder Sean Borman, who released them as a tape titled Papa Cremp in 2013. So that was the first
Papa
album
Coit.
by Cherry Glazer. So in 2013, she was joined by her high school friends, Hannah Uribe and Sophia Muller, on drums and vocals, respectively. They released their second album, and I love this name, Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Apocalyptic.
So that was 2017. They have since released another album that was 2019. That's another band to check out. And believe it or not, I listened to the last two albums. Kind of has that Pixies sound. I mean, which is hard to duplicate. Yeah. If anyone out there knows the Pixies, they were 90s band. So check out Cherry
real
Glazer.
hard edge.
So check out JORDI. Like I said, she only has 2 songs out, but check out Escape Route. It's a really good song, and Cherry Glazer. So those are my 2.
Sounds good.
And also check out Eddie Money.
Yeah, so, maybe. I like that the na 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 na. Yeah, that was a horn. That was supposed to be a horn part. I never knew.
But even listening to it, I can't picture the horn because of the na na na's. I like.
Yeah.
It's something maybe a little smoother than that.
Yeah. Not a kazoo. But yeah.
I want to talk about the new album releases coming out. Now, these are for May 7th, 2021. We got Nancy Wilson. I don't know if you remember her.
Wow. Yeah, doing it after all these decades. Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
She was in the band Heart, still is, with her sister, Anne. She was just interviewed on Marc Maron, which I love. But she has her first solo album. She's never done an album on her own, but there are other musicians on the album. It's called You and Me. We've got the Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
Oh, wow.
With When God Was Great. Although there's a typo here. It says When God Was Great.
When God Was Great.
But it's actually called When God Was Great. Van Morrison has a new album out. And it's called Latest Record Project Volume 1. So that's
little, but very descriptive. Very descriptive. Yeah. Wow, it sounds like you're reading something from 3 decades ago, and 2021. These people are still doing it after all these years.
Oh, we'll get them more. Yeah, and we got Weezer, who seems to put out an album every 6 months because they just put out an album, I think, in January.
And this wasn't long ago, Weezer, yeah.
And this has a simple title, but I love it. It's called Van Weezer. Okay. Oh
no, I know. I've heard about this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Van Weezer. You know, Weezer. I got to talk about Weezer. I got turned on to Weezer a little later than other people because I just didn't think they were that great. Yeah, you can't knock the hustle. They when they play that song by Toto, I can't tell if it's Toto or not. I mean, it sounds it's just amazing the way they can read to two other artists.
Oh,
songs.
Africa.
It's better than it's better than most.
I love Weezer, but I somehow love the most. It's called the Teal album, and it's all cover songs, and that's Africa's on there,
which they do great. That's my point. Yeah, they do it so well.
They do Aha, Take on Me. The whole. I'll listen to that whole album over and over. It's great.
I got to check out that, and that album is the Teal.
The Teal album. Okay, so May 14th, we got Juliana Hatfield. She's a 90s artist who I love. Simply Called Blood. We got Paul Weller.
Yeah.
Paul Weller.
You're talking about from the Style Council?
No, he was in the Jam. Council. Yeah, I think he was in the Style Council too.
Okay. Yeah, and Paul Weller. What's excellent.
His album is Fat Pop, Volume 1. So maybe, series, who knows?
I'm going to look for that one. I was a Style Council fan.
Well, Paul Weller's solo stuff is great. Album called Wildwood that I love. Okay. Yeah. So check out Paul Weller. Check out the Jam. That's 80s band. Got a newer artist here that I started getting into, St. Vincent. Her album's Daddy's Home. And these all come out May 14th. And the Black Keys, Delta Cream with a K. We got Gary Newman. He's probably on his 60th album with Intruder. He had the song In Cars.
Yeah, called Cars. I didn't know he was still doing it. Yeah,
he's still doing it, and his hair looks brand new on his head. Because it probably is.
Do you know that? I don't know what year it was. I suppose it was around 1980 or whatever. That's a Gary Newman album in Cars. The first one that I listened to with my new headphones, my new big headphones. Remember when the big headphones were popular? Everybody was wearing them just a few years ago. Yeah, just a few years ago. Everybody's going with the big ones. I don't know. Was it maybe it was 5-8 years ago? Anyway, yeah, it was spectacular with headphones.
Probably Justin Bieber wore them, and then everybody had to have them or something like that.
Yeah, somebody started the trend for sure. Yeah. Bringing that back. I never thought it would come back. So what else you got there, Jim?
So someone who keeps coming back, speaking of, is Mickey Dolenz. He
loves you.
He's got
Mickey
a new album.
Loves you.
Now this is an interesting one because Mickey Dolenz, and this is another music thing, is they just announced the Monkees farewell tour. So it's only 2 Monkees that are alive, unfortunately, and that's Mickey Dolenz and Mike Nesmith. So Mickey Dolenz' new album is Mickey Dolenz Sings Nesmith. So I know Michael Nesmith had a lot of solo stuff. So is Michael? My question is, Michael Nesmith going to come out with an album? Michael Nesmith sings Dolenz.
Yeah. Michael Nesmith sings Dolenz. Yeah. It might not sell as big as the next one. I mean, the previous one. I'm
only going to mention the next artist because she's on SNL coming up. Or probably when you listen to this, she probably would have been on there. But her name is Olivia Rodrigo, and she has an album called Sour. So obviously she's promoting that album.
And our listeners are going to know her much better than I do. I have not heard her before.
Yeah. Now, the next one you might know about. And if you don't, I know you're going to listen to it. And you're going to want to listen to it. It's 21 Pilots. Have a new album.
Yeah. Cool.
Called Scaled and Icy. And the "and" is with 2 A's. For some reason.
Scaled and Icy. All right.
So we have a couple more. We have May 28th. Moby, who we haven't heard from in a long time. Electronic. His album is called Reprise, I guess. This one I'm excited about because I haven't heard of them in a long time, and I always like them. And this is June 4th, album release, Crowded House with Dreamers Are Waiting. And then we got another one from the past, Liz Phair with Soberish.
Yeah.
And Liz, I know, is touring, or she's going to be touring. So she's been busy. So that does it for new album releases. We have something new and interesting. someone who we interviewed last year. His name is Claude S. from Anything Box. And they were a band in the like late 80s, more early 90s. Mm-hmm. So Claude has put out a new EP, but it's not really new. It's songs that I think might not have been on an album or on albums, mm-hmm. or maybe they were back then B-sides, stuff that might not have been heard, and remix. There's a couple. The one song that I want to talk about is called Death Stars. I think it was released on what is known as Star Wars Day, because Death Star.
Yes, but I did hear about it at work. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But it has nothing to do with Star Wars. Yeah. So anyway,
but you got to say why it's Star Wars Day. It's Star Wars Day.
4th. May 4th.
Yeah, May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
4th. Yeah, you got to say it with the left. With May the 4th be with you. Yeah, May 4th.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if people who have Sirius Radio, I'm sure they know who Richard Blade is. He's a English radio host, and he has a show called New Sensations, and he's on the New Wave channel. So he only talks about 80s music, but I guess also artists from the 80s that release new recordings. Anything Box was featured on his show, New Sensations, the song Death Stars. I'm still in contact with Claude, and he messaged me back, and I'm going to tell you what he says about this song, Death Stars. And here we go. It could be a one argument, that's WON, that no one could have anticipated the impact of the pandemic, not just the economic turndown, but also the effects it had upon us as human beings. Being in lockdown certainly was something I never personally expected. As with all things, there was a silver lining to the dark cloud that was 2020. For me, it was the quarantine streams. And that was, this isn't Claude talking, but that was where Claude would go, live every week and play music and talk about the songs in Anything Box. So for me, it was the quarantine streams and the opportunity to rethink how and why I do things. Reset indeed. It was during the second lockdown that I decided to do this 12-inch vinyl of Death Stars with Jersey Wave Records. This was by no means an easy choice. Normally, I'm not fond of vinyl and have been quite outspoken about it in the past. So why do this? Well, for starters, to fulfill a friend's dream of having a label, and for another to showcase a song or three that I felt had been lost to the grand ether of the internet. As for the song itself, it was written during a time where death started showing up at my door. First grandparents, then parents, friends, and I would ask myself, who will we remember? And the song was born to celebrate all those stars, the people we loved. I based the art around Audrey Hepburn and Maria the robot to further explore my feelings on this subject. Rather dark, huh? But in the end, what I discovered is that now matters, right now. So
it's very profound from Claude, very profound.
So before we go, actually one last thing here is that this EP is available on Bandcamp. You can get the digital copy for $9. There is a limited edition 12-inch EP on vinyl. It's 10 songs, and there's different versions of the same song. So it's not 10 different songs. And it's on white splatter vinyl, which I love the color vinyl. And it's available June 15th, 2021. And Claude has given us permission to play some of this song. So I guess we're going to wrap this up.
All right. So let's end with hearing Claude S. Listeners, thanks for your time. And turn off the TV.
And turn up the music. Here's Dead Stars.
Intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show was produced and edited by Jim Thatcher. Jim and Mike Talk Music is recorded at Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find Jim and Mike Talk Music on Apple Music, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts.